Welcome to the Burn Factory Podcast with Priest and Phoenix Rivera. Listen as the boys interview the biggest names in sports and entertainment. The Burn Factory starts now.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Burn Factory Podcast. As you may know, I'm your host, Priest, joined by my co-host, my brother, Mr. Phoenix. Say what's up to the camera.
What's up, y'all?
This is called the Burn Factory for a reason. I was literally caught on fire. 50% chance to live, but through that, started this podcast because I believe every person out there has a burn moment somewhere in their life that got them to where they are at today.
Yes, you heard Priest say a burn moment. So a burn moment is a super hard time in someone's life that they had to fight and to get through to be where they are today. And me and Priest believe that every single person go through these little burn moments every single day. So on this podcast, we are here to discover that within our guests. But today, Priest, we have an amazing guest today. He was born in a boxing family with his father and two brothers fighting and are trainers himself. He has won multiple national championships as an amateur. He belongs to a legendary group as he has won 4 championships in 4 different weight divisions, in which only 2 other men have done so. He is a true legend of the sport, and most of all, he is a man that strives to give back to his community that he loves.
So please give a warm welcome to Mikey Garcia.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you.
Welcome, champ. Welcome.
I saw on your Instagram story a couple days ago of you tasing some of your buddies. You got to tell me, what is it like to be tased?
we were just having fun. You know, a friend of mine, a buddy of mine, had a tase gun. He's a security guard, and he left it at home. So we were just messing around with it. I had actually been tased when I was in the police academy years ago, and just to be part of the academy, and one of the requirements is to get pepper spray, get tased, things like that. And so I just brought it out, and we're just playing around. And some of the guys were like, "Hey, let's see what it's about." So I give a little stun, little shot there, but nothing crazy, nothing serious, just for fun.
I gotta get one so I can tase Phoenix.
I know there's so many times that I would just love to pull out a taser and just be like, yeah, shut up. Like,
what? Why me? You always talk trash on me, so I'm gonna have to give you a nice little zzz,
right?
And you won't be talking no more trash.
But yeah, so I was looking at it and I was like, man, that's like a real tase gun. It's not just like a little taser that you buy. Like
it's a legit gun. Like I said, he's a security guard.
Okay.
And he has a real tase gun, and so he was at my house. He left it out there, and so I just I grabbed it, and I had already talked to him about it before. We were playing with it or whatever, so I knew it's not lethal. It's not anything bad like that, unless you put it in and actually use it on certain body parts, like by the neck. That could really knock someone out, but. We're putting it on people's hips and legs, and it's not a big deal. It will shock them enough to feel like a sensation throughout their body, and it does take them down, but it doesn't do anything like major damage or anything like that. It was just fun.
That's scary.
Did you get tased? I didn't see any of the videos. Did you get tased?
Or you just tasing?
Nah.
He's like, I'm the one tasing people.
I'm the one holding the gun.
Yeah.
Have you been tased?
I did it for the academy, but that was many years ago, and I don't want to do it again. That time they actually sent out the prongs. They actually shot you with it, and so those actually penetrate your skin, and you feel like a shockwave throughout your whole body. It just paralyzes you. So that's a different type of feeling than what I did the other night with the guys. That was just a different thing, just lighter.
So you said the academy. Were you trying to be a police officer at one point?
I did do the police academy. I was thinking maybe going law enforcement. This was before my boxing career took off. Mm-hmm. It was back in 2010. So
okay, but you were a pro at that point, right?
I was a pro.
Yeah.
I had a few fights already as a pro. I was already like a 4-year pro. My career was not developed as well just yet. So I was thinking maybe having something to do with law enforcement, just in case boxing didn't do anything else for me, I could have something to fall back on.
For sure. Did you want to do boxing because your dad did it or your brothers?
So if I take it back, you mentioned growing up in a boxing family. My older brothers were boxers. My dad was a trainer. So I grew up watching boxing my whole life, ever since I was a little kid. The conversations around a dinner table were always boxing related. You know, we watch all the fights on pay-per-view back in the day, the De La Hoya, the Chavez, Tyson, those big names, you know. I didn't think I would be a fighter. I never imagined myself being a professional boxer. I saw my brothers box. I just figured that's kind of like for them. I grew up in it, but it wasn't something that I dreamt of doing myself. So I did, you know, go to school and whatever, and I went to college, 2-year college there, community college. Then I did the police academy. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do as far as a career yet, so I wanted to have options. But being there here in boxing, you kind of play with it here and there. And at 14, I was doing some amateur fights. Then at 18, I turned pro. But again, just with the thought of, let's see where it goes. Not 100% dedicated to boxing being my only option. I wanted to have options. So we started boxing at a young age of 14, but it just wasn't like a dream. Like I knew this is what I was going to do and this is where I'm going to make it. It was never like that, at least not for me. At 18, I turned pro and, we just developed a career just to see what happens. I did well. I started, moving on, winning fights, and eventually the big breakthrough was 2011. 2011, I was already maybe like 20 fights in or 22 fights, somewhere in there. I got an opportunity to fight on an HBO fight card. I was a co-headliner for a fight in Atlantic City. So it's like a big opportunity for me. Get, a lot of eyes on you now and make some better money. And it's like, okay, so we took that fight. We win the fight. Make me look really, really good. The opponent was a good opponent, undefeated opponent. He was at the moment NABF, NABO champion, which is a North American championships. He had 2 of them, and I beat him. I took the titles away from him, and they ranked me like, I think it was like number 6 or number 5 in the world. So now it's like, okay, now there's some serious opportunities here for me, opening up. So that's really where my boxing career really started to take forward. And like I said, that's 2011. I did the academy the year before that, right, in 2010. So it was just like the timing was just there. So that's how it started. And after that, just, kept winning fights and eventually, all the title fights and everything else that I accomplished. But that's really how it started.
Yeah. Even before that, actually in 2004, you did win gold at the Junior Golden Gloves Championship.
Well, yeah, as an amateur, when we started, in fact, when I started my amateur career at 14, it was because a nephew of mine had started boxing. He had started boxing. We went to support one of his fights, and there was a kid there that didn't have an opponent. My brother just signed me up to jump in there. But because I was not licensed to be an amateur fighter, I had to do what they said, an exhibition, just an exhibition.
Yeah.
So I did it, and it was kind of natural to me. It kind of felt natural, like, the competition. I liked it. It was interesting that I decided to continue training and actually get my license to compete as an amateur. And I'm talking back like in 2001, 2002 when that started. Then in 2004, I won some tournaments and eventually, built a good amateur career to where I could see some, opportunities to turn pro. And then we did turn pro, like I said, in 2006.
Yeah, that kind of could have been like your burn moment. That if your nephew never signed you up,
then I probably would never have been here.
Yeah,
I
that's
might
crazy.
not have been able to do it. Not that like I said, I never dreamt of being a fighter, but it just so happened that day, one kid didn't have an opponent. My brother signed me up and put me in there. And then after that, that's when I decided to continue training and actually go to the gym and actually, try to compete. Prior to that, I never went to the gym to train. I would go just to watch my brother and some of the other guys train, and then we would go to the fights, and that's it. But I never actually took it like as a sport for me to do and practice.
That's so crazy. Just if he doesn't sign that, you're not fighting. Yeah. But that's actually leading us right into the beginning. So on this podcast, we do use the word burn, and each letter is an acronym. So B is beginning. Take us to the beginning. Were there any burn moments that happened?
Growing up, like I said, we grew up in boxing family. All the conversations were always boxing related. My oldest brother, Danny, he boxed professionally. I think like 24 professional fights. Retired. Didn't have a great career, but he was the one to kind of introduce it. My dad was the trainer, and then my brother Robert was fighting. He became world champion back in '98. Yeah. So I remember my brother's career. There was times where, I was probably like 10 years old at the moment or whatever, 10, 12 years old. We would go to the fights and hang out, and, we experienced some defeats with my brother. He lost on 3 different occasions. He got stopped those 3 times, but 2 of them were like really, really like pretty bad getting knocked down and getting knocked out. And so those were sad moments for the family because we had not experienced losses like that. So it also taught us in a way, you got to take, your defeats just the way you do your victories. You got to keep moving forward and never quit, don't just give up. So, we saw his career unfold. I guess maybe some of that taught me as well. As an amateur, I lost 12 fights as an amateur. I had 60 amateur fights total, 48 and 12, 40 and 14. So I forget the exact numbers, but I mean, I took the losses and moved on forward. Kept it going. Didn't really affect me as much as people might think it would. You got to learn to just keep moving forward and keep your eyes on your future goals, not give up and dwell so much on a loss or on a challenge that you're facing at the moment. You got to keep going. So that's kind of like what it taught me, growing up, seeing those losses with some of the other fighters that my dad was training. We keep it going.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned your amateur career, and you had 60 fights, and nowadays people have 200, 300, 400 amateur fights.
Oh, yeah.
So do you think, was it a good or like kind of like a bad thing that you had not as many amateur fights as soon as you turned pro?
Even when I did it, I was one of the fighters, like one of the kids that had the least amount of fights. A lot of other fighters had a lot of fights, 100 and some, 200 fights. I started my career, like I said, a little later at 14 versus others that started 8, 10 years old. I started at 14, and at 18, I was already turning pro, right? So it was only a 4-year amateur career. Most kids that, start a lot earlier have a lot of fights. They go through a lot of tournaments. So they're fighting, a lot of, I don't know, maybe 4 times a week sometimes in the tournament. I didn't have that. But just growing up in boxing, I kind of gained experience just from watching and the proper training and everything. So it allowed me to still have a good amateur career. I still had some really good fights. I was national champion, like you mentioned, in 2004 for the Golden Gloves, but then I was also national champion in 2005 for the Police Activities League, the PAL tournament. It was a national tournament. So I still was able to compete at a high level of amateur. I didn't make it to go to the Olympics. The Olympic round for me would have been 2008, but I turned pro in 2006.
Okay.
So I didn't get to compete for the Olympics. I decided to turn pro. I was 18. I didn't want to wait 2 more years in the amateur ranking system and tournaments. I said, nah, let's just go pro. That's where I'm gonna make my career anyways, or at least that's where I would want to have a successful career. The amateurs is enough to learn and move on.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I decided to just turn pro.
Is it a long process turning pro?
No, you guys can. If you guys want to go pro, you guys can probably go pro yourselves.
Really?
It's not that difficult to turn pro. It's not like other sports, like NBA or other sports that are like really, really like, you got to be the best of the best of the best, right? In boxing, it's not quite like that. You apply for your license with the state athletic commission. You got to have physical exams performed by certain doctors to know that you're healthy to compete, and some knowledge of boxing experience, whether it's amateurs or just enough training with the right teams, with the right trainers. They'll give you your license. They'll grant you your license. Where they do pay more attention is the level of opponents that you're going to be facing based on your level of experience. So if you're barely turning pro, that's why you see a lot of guys that are turning pro or a few, 4, 5, 6 fights, still fighting guys that are completely like overmatched. Yeah. But it's because there's still only 4 professional fights in. The level's not quite the same. So they're able to fight guys like that. If you were to have, say, 15, 16, 18 fights, you're no longer going to be able to fight just anybody. They're going to match you up, or at least the commission will approve certain fights that are a little bit even matched. So that's where they pay more attention. But yeah, you guys can even turn pro yourselves.
That's so crazy to me.
I can have you guys on my next show.
Oh, yeah. Garcia.
I do Garcia Promotions.
Yep,
we just had one in January. We had a show on January the 28th. I think we might be doing another one in April. We might be doing it in San Antonio.
Okay.
But if you guys one day wanted to turn pro, we could definitely do that too.
Shoot.
Shoot.
I weigh like 60 pounds heavier than you. You think they would sanction it? Our fight?
You guys would have to fight individual fights, separate fights.
I mean,
Yeah, the weight difference would be too.
Yeah,
if
it's
they,
too much.
if they give me headgear, I'm in. I'm not taking blows to my bare head, but give me headgear and 18-ounce gloves, and we'll do it.
We could do amateur fight. Amateur fight with the bigger gloves,
Headgear.
We guys can do that one.
Okay. I might think about it. I might need you to train me.
Yeah, you might have to train us.
I need
sure.
I need a full 12-week camp with you.
Oh my gosh.
fine.
And then you got to go into like diet, and I don't even have a good diet to begin with. And you got to go to weight cut, and I don't even think I can cut weight because I'm so skinny.
We'll make it easy for you guys. You guys can fight at a comfortable weight.
Comfortable weight?
Comfortable weight.
Wait,
is
okay,
like,
so
You will lose a little bit of weight just to get in shape, but you don't have to, starve yourselves, to really cut weight like a major fight does.
dang, no
Cutting
more,
weight sucks,
no more
man.
Chick-fil-A.
No more Chick-fil-A,
No
that's
more
for sure.
Chick-fil-A. Oh my gosh. That's why I'm not a fighter.
I remember, so growing up, my dad's an Olympic athlete. He did judo. So I did judo too. And I remember I'd have to cut 1 or 2 pounds. And at that age, you're cutting from 80 to 78.
Yeah.
I just remember cutting sucked. And then I'd get to football, and I was always a bigger kid growing up. And I was 10 or 11, and I was playing football with 14, 15-year-olds, and I'd still have to cut weight.
Wow.
Yeah, so cutting weight's not the funnest of things, for sure.
It's one of the things that, from my understanding, no fighter likes to do. I mean, that's the one thing all fighters hate is cutting weight. We do it. You have to do it. And even though you have a good diet throughout your training camp and you're losing weight automatically just from working out and eating well, you lose weight. But then that week of the fight, some fighters are still 14, 16 pounds over. Some I've heard of even more drastic weight cuts that I've heard of fighters do. I never had that big of a weight cut. For me, it was always 6, 8 pounds max. But no matter how much you have to cut, it's never pleasant. It's always ugly, and you feel sick, and you sometimes do get sick. I've experienced it myself. So cutting with the weight is probably the least enjoyable moment of a fighter's career.
So that week, obviously, don't do water overload, right? You're drinking gallons of water.
Yeah,
and then
it's changed. See, the strategies and the methods that we use for cutting weight now are very different than what my brother did back in the day in his career, and even further back. It's actually changed a lot to where it's a little healthier now by drinking a lot of water and maybe cutting the portions of food and the amount of food intake, versus back in the day with my brother. They used to stop drinking. They wouldn't drink water for those 3, 4, 5 days.
Oh man!
And it's punishing to the body. It takes a toll. But that's the thought process back then. That's what everybody was doing. That's the process that every fighter would do to cut weight. Now, with obviously new training techniques and better education, in the sport and about losing weight and everything, you've learned to do it in what I would say maybe a healthier way. Even though it's not healthy, but the healthiest that you can possibly do it. You're drinking a lot of water, and then that 24 hour before the actual weigh-in, you cut the water and then you burn it all off. And I mean, it's a little bit better, but it's still draining and tiring, and you feel like you're about to die.
Yeah.
You feel sick.
How's the sleeping? Because I feel if you're going to bed super dehydrated and tired, do you even sleep well at all?
I'll tell you
the
one
day before
story.
you
I'll tell you one story. See, like I said, most of the times I didn't have a big weight cut. It was 6, 8 pounds. It was fine. 6 to 8 pounds, not a big deal. Lose that and you're still pretty comfortable. But I'll tell you about one story. One time back in 2013. I was supposed to defend my featherweight title. I was trying to cut weight that week. And this is before we did the whole water, this is still old school method. We stopped drinking water and we were working out for like 3-4 days prior to the weigh-in, and my body shut down. I couldn't lose any more weight. I kept trying. I did get sick from doing so, to the point where I couldn't sleep that night before. I didn't sleep a single minute of the night. My body was in pain, like literally in pain. My whole body was in pain. I would toss and turn around in bed trying to like get comfortable. I couldn't. I would grab the remote to try to watch some TV and see if that would help. And I realized that I couldn't let go of the remote. My body was cramping up so much that I couldn't extend my fingers to let go of the remote. I would have to pry them with my other hand. That's how bad it got. So I know some of these fighters go through that every single time. I went through that one time, and I wasn't able to even make weight. I was about almost 2 pounds over. There was nothing else I could do. When people sometimes say, "Oh, he didn't even try," dude, you didn't know what I went through to try and actually make weight. You passed out. You faint. You wake up and you're on the floor and like, oh, what happened? So those are moments that I think a lot of fighters go through, but we just don't share them, or we don't share them enough. It was horrible. So I know that when I see some of these fighters and they're all ripped, everything, they're probably at their weakest moments, right there. At that scale, even though they looked all ripped and muscular and everything, they're at their probably weakest of the entire camp. The next day after they rehydrate, they're back to normal. It's crazy the way the body can do that. But that's part of being a fighter.
Did you fight that next day?
I fought that next day, yeah.
Wow.
In
Did
fact,
you win?
I won. We had a doctor come in and check, my health, because I couldn't make weight. I was throwing up. On the way back to the room after the weigh-in, I passed out again. They were holding me. So we called the doctor, and the doctor advised not to fight. He's like, you can't fight. You got to come into the doctor. You got to come to a hospital. You got to hydrate, this and that. And I said, no, I can't. I'm fighting tomorrow. And they're like, dude, we need you at the hospital. They're like, I can't. I'm like, I don't want that. I need you to do whatever you can right now just to get me, ready for tomorrow. So he did. He, tried to help out. I was seeing blurry throughout the whole time. From all the dehydration and everything, my eyesight was not well. I would see like double vision, like blurriness. I couldn't hear. I had that ringing the whole time. Next morning, my eyesight was normal, but I still had that ringing. After breakfast and resting a couple hours, then my hearing came back, and it kind of felt normal. So I told my brother, my dad, and the manager at the time, I think I'll go ahead and go through the fight. I think we're good. So we went into the locker room, warming up. I felt fine. We got into the actual fight. I dropped my opponent in the second round, and then I stopped him in the fourth. So it was a short fight to where the general audience, the general person, never knew that I was sick, how bad I was that night before and that day before. If you want to catch any of that, that's actually on YouTube. They had a building up thing. HBO had a segment called, it was named 2 Days. I think it was called 2 Days with Mikey Garcia. They did a segment like that with different fighters. Okay. It happened that they actually caught a lot of that.
Really?
But it was released after the fight, like a whole month after or whatever. And that's when people realized, like, dang, like he actually went through all that before the fight. Like you couldn't tell because I won early. Who knows? If the fight had extended to like the 8th, 10th round or whatever, maybe I wouldn't have been able to do so. Maybe I would have been so beat up and tired that I would, be knocked out or something. Those are the risks that you're taking.
Whenever you're warming up in the back, was there a burn moment saying like a bad burn moment and a good burn moment saying like, you know what, maybe I shouldn't fight, like I'm sick or I got to go out there, I need to go put this guy away? Was there a burn moment? For me, it actually happened the night before. Trying to cut weight, and we're in the tub, hot water, trying to, lose some weight. And then as I got up to check the scale or whatever, I don't remember
passing out. I just remember waking up. I'm on the floor, and my dad's at my feet, and I could see the worriness in his face and his expression. He's scared, and that's where it kind of hit me. Like, should I still be doing this? Like, this is dangerous. Like, waking up and you're on the floor, and you look around and you're in the bathroom on the floor, and I mean, that was scary. My dad was scared, so the thought did, it did come to mind. Like, should I even go through this? Should I even try, or should I just let them know exactly what's going on? Like, I can't. Like, I'm done. But at the same time, I tried to comfort my dad. I'm like, no, don't worry, it's fine. I just kind of got a little dizzy. I'm okay. I'll be fine. I just got a little tired. I'm tired, but I had completely no knowledge of what had just happened. I completely passed out. As I got up, I just blacked out. And during the warm up, some of that came back. Like, are you sure that you want to just go in and go in the fight? I mean, you're putting your life on the line at that moment. At that point, you're really putting your life on the line. You're gonna go in there. You're expected to fight. My opponent had a record of like 33 wins, 2 losses, 30 knockouts. Like, he was a serious opponent, right? Former world champion, 2 divisions. Like, it's not an easy fight, and I'm not in the 100% best shape, so it does cross your mind. My dad was there, and he was trying to talk to me, and I kind of try to actually comfort him more. I'm like, don't worry, it's gonna be fine. He's gonna come at me thinking it's gonna be easy for him because he saw me at the weigh-in struggling and all this. So he's gonna come in, which is gonna help me even more. He's gonna come in and I'm just gonna catch him. It's gonna be easier for me. It's not gonna be difficult. And it kind of helped out that it did work out fairly short, four rounds. I was able to drop him and stop him, and night was over. We won. We go home happy.
Oh, wow.
That's so interesting.
Great burn moment.
Yeah, that is a burn moment, but like just the whole weight cut thing in general. Like, I don't know if you know, but there's this thing called 1FC. It's an MMA. It's over in Singapore, and they've completely outlawed weight cutting.
Really?
Yeah. So you have to take like hydration tests. You have to do all kinds of stuff. So it's kind of starting to make people fight at a more natural weight. Like you talk about, like when you're training and you're in camp, you're eating better, you're gonna lose weight, but like getting rid of like completely depleting yourself. So do you think, like, for you as a fighter, how diminishing is like weight cutting for you on fight night?
Look, we all do it, or I did it. The reason why we do it is not to try to have an advantage over our opponent. Like a lot of people think, oh, you're a weight bully, you're so big, why are you fighting smaller weight class or whatever? That's not really how it works. See, if we're both training and we're losing natural weight from eating well, if we were to fight each other at that moment, fine, that'd be a fair fight. But if you're at a weight class, for example, at 140 pounds, 135 pounds, lightweight, right? If I'm fighting at lightweight and I'm walking around 155, so 20 pounds over, you're walking around. Naturally, as you're training, you're going to start losing weight. You're going to lose about 10 pounds naturally just from losing water and fat and training and eating well. Your weight cut might be those 10 extra pounds, right? If my other opponent was doing the same thing, that's fine. We would be facing each other. We're both equal. However, if I was fighting at 135, correct? I'm trying to make 135. And I'm trying to fight at my comfortable weight of 145, right? That guy at 145 in the fight game is not walking around 145 ever. He's coming down from like 170.
Yeah.
So he's going to be cutting down to 145, but by fight night, I'll still be maybe 150. He's going to be 165. And something like that is not healthy.
Yeah.
So in order for the fighters to, fight on an even playing field, everybody cuts weight because that the next day you're also going to hydrate. Both you guys are going to hydrate pretty similar. There might be a few pounds difference. Sometimes for the most part, it's only a 4 or 5 pound difference. Still difference, but not huge. Some of these other guys do rehydrate a lot more, and then you see the big difference. 8, 10 pound difference. That's dangerous. That's scary. But overall, everybody's within, 4, 5, 6 pounds max. So it's not a big deal. In boxing, I know that recently, for the last few years, there's been some organizations that have also tried to kind of help the problem, if it's a problem. I know the WBC controls a little bit about the weight. They'll ask the fighters throughout training camp to show the proof of where they're at, how much weight they're losing, and keep a modest consideration on their weight. If there's too much weight leading right before the fight, they might actually cancel the fight because they don't want you to be cutting so much weight, within a short amount of time. So they're starting to consider that more. But I mean, from what I've seen and in my own experience, if you do it moderately, it's not such a bad practice. But if you were to lose 16, 18 pounds in the last 2-3 days, that could be dangerous because your body's so depleted of nutrients. It's not just water; it's just your whole body's depleted of nutrients, and you're fatigued, you're tired. You may not recover. You may not hydrate enough. Even if you gain so much water weight, you may not be fully hydrated well to compete and perform. That's where it can be dangerous. If you lack fluid in the brain, the punches are gonna knock you out. You can go in a concussion. You can go in a coma. You can lose your life. That's where it's dangerous.
That reminds me of the Dominican Republic guy who actually got knocked down. I think his name is Pincardo. Richard.
Yeah.
Yeah, Richard. Same thing happened. He went into a fight, got knocked down.
Richard Colon.
Gosh, I don't even know how to pronounce that name. But yeah, he got knocked out a couple times and got back up, and like in the ring, he went into a coma, woke up, went back, and just
his life completely changed. He got hit in the back of the head a few times. The referee allowed it to continue. I mean, they might have taken a point away from the opponent or whatever, but they didn't put an end to it. And sure, after the fight, right there, he just kind of collapsed. They rushed him to the hospital, and it was from the punches to the head, and then he ended up going to coma, and he's still not fully recovered. His life changed completely. He's almost like in a vegetable state.
Yeah.
It's very, very sad.
So sad.
And that happens also, that could happen when someone is super dehydrated, super tired, fatigued, and, the lack of fluid and water in the body and the brain could easily, do those same, results.
Fighting can be so scary at the end of the day, just off of a weight cut.
This portion of the Burn Factory podcast is sponsored by Phoenix Salon Suites. Please visit Phoenix Salon Suites at PHENIX Salons SALON Suites SUITES.com to find one near you.
It's time to go to you and Burn. Unfortunate things happen in life. Like myself, whenever I was in 6th grade, I was severely burned. And a science experiment by my teacher that went horribly wrong and left me permanently scarred for the rest of my life. And, I mean, ever since that day, I've never been the same. And, I mean, it could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing. But, I mean, I'm sure you, as a fighter, have gone through so many unfortunate things that happen. And were there any burn moments?
Overall, I can say I was fortunate to have a pretty pleasant career, although there are some moments where you got to jump over some hurdles and some obstacles. Maybe not as bad as other fighters or as other, person in life in general, but everybody encounters moments like that. In my career, in boxing, there's moments, injuries happen all the time. But then you have some injuries that are, a little more threatening than others, and others that will actually set you back further. And then you go into other problems with the business, the boxing. So hand injury, broken thumb, broken nose, that's pretty common in a fight game. And although it sets you back a few months or whatever, eventually you come back. One of my biggest struggles or moments like that was actually related to the business part of boxing, the business behind it, right? So I entered this dispute with my promoter at the time.
Top rank, right?
And we just couldn't agree on certain terms. That kept me away for 2.5 years. But when it started, there was no finish line. There was no end, finish line time frame where, I just got to get through it for these next few months or for this next year, and then eventually I'll get over it. It was just like endless. You were like in limbo. Like you have no idea what's going on. You don't know how far, how long this is gonna take. All meanwhile, you still got your family. I still got my kids. I got payments. I got mortgages. I got attorney fees. I got all this. So eventually, you start to see you're in trouble. You don't have money. You're running out of money. You still got to, like I said, pay all these bills, and you guys still got to pay attorney fees and mortgages and car payments. I got to feed the kids. There was moments where it was really, really stressful, where I was wondering whether this was worth it or not, or what am I going to do? So those moments really, really put things into perspective. Before that, everything was, lollipops and candy, and everything's chilling, everything's cool, everything's going well. But then it could also be taken away so fast, right? And it was through business that it was taken away. It was through the lawsuit and everything that we had. But it also kind of reminded me, just as it was taken away during those 2.5 years, my career could also end with, a broken hand or a car accident, or you just never know. So, like I said, it really puts things in perspective. It really puts things in you got to see things through a different, point of view. You got to kind of get out of the box, view from the outside the box. And it was scary. It was daunting at times. I was running out of money. There was a few times that I was literally, without lying, down to about $300 in cash. And I was already 2-time world champion. I was fighting on HBO. I was supposed to be like this big new thing on the rise and expected to fight big major fights. And here I am with literally $300 in my pocket. I took that and go to the grocery store and buy some groceries so I could have at least some food for the kids at least for the next week or week and a half until something else, came by and then I could, maybe make another $1,000 or $2,000 or whatever and do something else with it. And so for a few months it was like that during that period. But it also, at the time, it also taught me to, like I said, value things differently and value, moments and family and friends over materials, over the cars, over, things that sometimes we're valuing more than we should. So those moments there during that period did change the way I look at, not only the sport, but also life and family and friends and where you really want to value and who you want to spend time with and what's really worth, in the type of importance that you give something. So that's something that I can say changed my outlook on life. At first, it was maybe the worst part of my life, the worst part of my career. But now looking back, it taught me to be, who I am now.
It's a burn moment, and that's dispute.
Yeah.
What was the dispute over?
It really was contractual understanding, contractual dispute. My understanding and my interpretation, based on what's on contract, what's on paper, black and white, my contract expired February of 2014. I had just fought in January 2014, title defense. My contract's expired next month. Let's renegotiate. Let's move on. Let's keep it going. Their understanding was that there was an extension that could apply to the contract, extending the contract with its own same terms. I asked them to explain to me what extension that was and why does that apply. And they never gave me a straight answer. They could never pinpoint exact details why the contract had those extensions. So then I was like, well, if we had the exact same contract, why is that you're out asking me to take the next fight with another contract, like extended contract? So, for example, we were talking about a proposed fight for that summer. and they asked me to accept the fight, but sign another contract for like 3 more years or something. And I'm like, okay, why do I need to take that fight with a 3-year agreement if my existing contract already has an extension?
Yeah.
It makes no sense. Why can't we just take the fight and keep that contract running? Or like, why do I have to extend something else? Like, why do I have to sign another extension? If the contract already has an extension on its own that's applicable, then why do I need to sign something else? You know, and that was part of how it started. But they never gave me an answer. They could never really justify why they wanted that. I asked, just give me the fight the way it is. Give me that fight the way it is without signing any additional contracts to that. Just leave it like that. And they wouldn't give me that fight as it was. They wanted me to sign another contract. So I'm like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So eventually I said, you know what? We're going to go ahead and put some legal pressure on you guys. I didn't know it was going to take so long to resolve. Eventually, things worked out. I was able to, break away and resume my career. At first, it might have seemed like it was, 2.5 years of my prime career and really bad for someone. But I also kind of took that as time to learn the business, because going through the lawsuit, I learned a lot from the promotion side. Going through discovery and depositions and everything, they had to open up, their business. So I learned some things that allowed me to have a more prosperous career when I did come back. So in 2016, when I came back, I started to manage myself and promote myself, and I would co-promote. I would negotiate with promoters fight by fight. It allowed me to get the fights that I wanted, fight the names that I felt were best, and really dictate where I take my career and how to guide myself, and made also the most money, so it worked out. Mm-hmm. It worked out for me.
Did you ever want to fight? Well,
no, go for it.
I said, did you ever want to? Did you ever end up fighting a guy you truly wanted to fight?
Yeah, we when I came back, all the fights that I fought, that I was part of, were fights that I chose, names that I went after. The only one that wasn't was the last one that I fought. That one was something separate, something different. But the ones that I took part of coming back from that layoff were all names that I chose to fight, because I felt those were the right fights for me, for my career, that would keep propelling me, higher and higher and higher. And they did. They worked out. For a moment, I was like on this roll of fighting, fight after fight after fight. Just winning these fights were really, bringing me up, leaving everybody else behind. And I'm on top. I was on top of the game.
I mean, from 2006 to 2018, you won 39 fights in a row. I mean,
that's a lot of fights.
Yeah, we had a good career. It was a good career. Even though we had a layoff, we were able to still come back and fight really good fights, title fights. Winning world title fights in different weight classes and having a pretty good career. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty happy with the end result.
Yeah. And retaining the WBC lightweight title.
We had some, like I said, we had fights. I was first champion in 2013, featherweight title holder for the WBO and Ring Magazine. Then that same year, I won the 130-pound super featherweight title, again for the WBO. Defended that title once in 2014, had the break, came back summer of 2016, and then following right away to my next fight, January of 2017, fought for the WBC lightweight title. Then I moved up to fight a 140-pound title fight against Lipinets. He was the IBF champion. Mm-hmm. I beat him. Then I came back down to 135 to unify those titles against Robert Easter, who had the IBF at that time. I was holding the WBC. He had the IBF. I won that fight, unified champion now. Then I jumped all the way from 135 all the way to 147 to challenge for the welterweight title, which I lost. That was my first loss. I fought Errol Spence, who was, arguably the best welterweight of recent times. And I took the loss. Okay, I challenged myself. I tried. I went up to fight the best guy at that division, and where no one else was doing so, I did. I jumped 2 divisions to get there. Like, so it was like, for me, even though I lost, and that was my first loss, it was not really that hurtful. It was like, I'm fine with it. Let's keep moving. Let's keep going. Like, I'm okay with the loss. I accept it. Let's move on. Let's keep going forward. Like, I'm not sad about it. I'm not depressed. I'm not looking back and dwelling so much. Let's keep going. So all these fights were fights that I chose. And even the last, like I said, the last one was the only one that I didn't really have much passion for that. I was already ready to call it a night. I was ready to retire and just not do it again. But an opportunity came by, and I said, we'll take the fight. And we did. We took it for other reasons. We took it for almost as a favor, really, to have a show, to give one of my fighters at the gym, an opportunity. And he was supposed to be fighting for a title. He was going to be fighting. We were promised a title fight for him. And I said, all right, I'll take that fight just to give him an opportunity. And eventually, we lost the fight, 10-round decision. I didn't care. I thought I won. It doesn't matter.
It was close.
Let's.
It was close.
It's close.
For me, it was like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever the decision says, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't erase what I have already accomplished in the past. Like, I'm good.
Back to when you won the WBC belt, like, how cool is that to bring to your dad? Because I know your dad's trained a lot of guys, trained Fernando Vargas.
Yes.
They all had, like, IBF, both. Bringing the WBC belt to him, like, what was that moment
That's
like?
one of my favorite fights. One of the most memorable nights is that winning that title meant more because that's a title that my dad wanted to have earned when he was training his fighters. Like you mentioned, Fernando Vargas and my brother Robert. They both were IBF champions. And then Fernando also had the WBA title at one time. My dad had wanted to earn the WBC. It's something about the WBC being also that it's from Mexico. The president is in Mexico, Suleiman, and some of these great champions in history have held the WBC title. So it's very desirable. It's a title that, although they're all world champions, all world championship fights with the IBF, WBA, WBO, and WBC, something about the WBC is special. At least, for most fight fans and fighters, and my dad included. So having the opportunity to fight for the WBC title was great for me. Winning that fight and being able to bring that title, like my dad had always wanted, meant that much more. So that's why that makes it more special than winning some of the other titles. I won the WBO title prior to that. I won that twice. And I was a world champion, 2-division world champion. I won the Ring magazine, which is my favorite, is the Ring magazine. Over the other titles, my favorite has always been the Ring magazine because I know what it represents. I know what it takes to earn that. I know that it's a special belt. It's not every champion can earn that. Not every champion can never fight for that. It's very limited, very, very particular on how you can earn that. So for me, it's the Ring magazine. But winning that WBC title for my dad made it that much more special and then just more memorable for me.
Could you even sleep that night?
We were actually here. We were here. The fight was here at the MGM here in Vegas. It was January 2017. After that, all my friends and family, they all wanted to hang out. Honestly, I was cool. I was like, whatever, I'm fine. But they had already arranged it so that I would come out here to one of the nightclubs, and we did. We went out there. I made sure everybody was taken care of. I was there maybe an hour, and then you guys have a good night. I'm heading out. I went across the street. I went to McDonald's. I love McDonald's. I went to McDonald's.
That's his thing.
That's my thing. I went to McDonald's, grabbed some food, and take it up to my room, and that's it. I took McDonald's home and went to bed. I was never one to really be not that it's wrong or anything, but most fighters winning the title, they're gonna go celebrate and go all out and go crazy, and like you said, maybe not even sleep, just from being so happy and excited, accomplishing their dream, all that. For me, it was never like that. It was just like, whatever. Let's just go get some McDonald's, go to sleep.
This is another fight. That's funny. He literally eats McDonald's like 4 times a week, 3 times a week.
What's the meal you get?
Oh, 2 burgers, fries, Coke.
Was that like number 7, number 6?
Number 7, I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know the menu.
What's your go-to?
What's your go-to?
I do a number 1, but I do no cheese. Big Mac.
Cheese.
Oh, Big Mac. Okay.
Yeah, no cheese.
Oh, you guys are missing out. The spicy McChicken sandwiches. That's where it's at.
I like them.
Yeah, they're very good.
I'll get the number 1, and then I'll throw a spicy chicken.
Yeah, they're good.
Or the nuggets.
So, out of your fast food, McDonald's is your favorite?
Oh, it's McDonald's.
Oh,
Over,
yeah,
everything.
McDonald's on
Over
top?
everything.
Over Chick-fil-A?
Not even close? Like, nothing else competes?
McDonald's, bro.
I'll tell you what, McDonald's at like 11 o'clock at night. It's unreal. It's literally unreal. But it's time to go to our ridiculous moments happen. I actually saw a ridiculous moment in your last fight with Sandor Martin.
Yeah.
The lights turned off
Yeah.
while you're fighting.
Yeah.
It's crazy where you're just like, oh, what just happened?
There's been some moments like that, some crazy moments. That did happen on my last fight. We're in the middle of, I don't know, 4th, 5th round. I forget which round. And all of a sudden, everything goes black. The whole stadium went black. All the lights went out. So I just stayed at a distance, and he also stayed at a distance. None of us tried to hit each other at the moment. Lights came back. I'm like, all right, cool.
Good.
Let's go back. Stuff like that had happened. There was another fight that I was in that happened, where we're fighting and all of a sudden the lights go out. I mean, there's moments like that. Just shows you that nothing's perfect. Not everything's perfect. Sometimes it could be just somebody walking across, pulls the plug, accidentally steps over a plug or something. You just never know. Other ridiculous moments in my career. Let me think about something like that, because walking in the my first fight, okay, I'm about to turn pro. This is June of 2006, yeah, 2006. I just graduated high school. I'm about to turn pro in like 2 weeks. We happen to find a fight. It's out there in Montebello at the Quiet Canyon Golf Course. They have a ballroom. They do some shows, small club shows. All right, cool. They offered an opportunity for me to turn pro. All right, let's do it. We go there. We're weighing in. After the weigh-in, my dad says, let me go to the liquor store, pharmacy, I forget what store it was, to buy some Gatorades and just, hydrate a little bit. All right, cool. We get the truck stolen. They stole the truck. They stole all my gear.
Oh.
I had no cup. I had no shorts. I had no gear, no shoes, no mouthpiece, nothing for my fight. And I'm about to turn pro in a few hours, because that day it happened to be, it was fight day. Yeah, it was the weigh-in for my pro fight, for my pro debut. My weigh-in was on fight day. It was weird the way they did it, but
so weird.
Normally it's the day before, right? Well, for some reason it was that day. So I weigh in the morning, like at 10, 11 in the morning, and my fight was like at 5, 6 p.m. or whatever. But it just so happened that they stole my dad's truck. He had an Escalade, and they stole the truck, but all my gear was still there. So I had to ask my brother, who was at an amateur tournament, to come down and borrow, bring some gear, bring one of the kids, cups that I could borrow. I had to go to like a local Big Five. I bought some wrestling shoes so that I could box in. We borrowed shorts, amateur shorts. We borrowed, what else did we borrow? Well, he had to bring all his gear for rapping, because we had no raps. We had none of that. And the mouth guard. We normally have someone make us the mouth guards. I had to go buy like a 1.99 type of mouth guard that you boil in water.
The hot water, yeah.
Because you need a mouth guard in order to compete, to fight. So we went and we did all that just leading up to the fight, right? And so that's one of those moments where it's like, I got all these things going around. I gotta handle police report. Gotta call the insurance, report the vehicle. I'm handling a bunch of other stuff. I gotta go buy those shoes. I gotta go do that mouth guard. I gotta wait for my brother. Call my brother. Bring shorts. Bring a cup. We're all doing all this stuff, and I'm fighting like that same like within a couple hours. like 2 hours difference or whatever.
That's crazy.
But that's how I turned pro.
Oh.
Got paid $900 for the fight, but what they stole from me was actually worth more than that. So I ended up kind of losing money on my first fight.
Did you guys ever find it or anything?
They found the truck a couple days later. I think it was like on a Monday or something. Tuesday they found it. They called us up. We went back. It was sitting on bricks. It was sitting on bricks. They stole the wheels.
Yeah.
They stole all the gear. Was gone. They stole all the gear. They stole the back seat. They didn't mess with anything else. Like they didn't mess with the engine or anything, but they did steal the wheels, and I think that's really why they stole it. It was for the wheels. My dad, it had some nice wheels on it. So they stole the wheels. They took all the gear that I had. I don't know whatever happened to that. My robe, everything that I had, even like warm-up gloves and mitts that we had, it's all gone. Shorts, T-shirts that we were gonna give away, all gone. Pictures, bunch of stacks. We had made I think it was like 500 pictures that we were gonna be handing out, all gone.
That's
crazy.
And boxing gloves aren't cheap at all.
No.
And I can't imagine what like the shorts are and stuff.
Yeah, my whole outfit. It was shorts and robe, everything. Just my outfit itself was like $1,500, $1,600. Just my outfit itself. So I got paid $900, but I lost almost maybe $2,500 of gear.
Yeah, that was all on eBay like an hour later. Literally.
If they had kept it, it probably would be worth some money with my career now.
What type of boxing gloves was it? Like Grant, Everlast?
I had some warm up gloves that were winning, small little warm up glove that were there. We had some mitts, some small winning mitts, also for warm ups. And like I said, my custom gear that was the shorts and the robe. That was like $1,600 for that.
Oh my god!
So yeah, we had some. My mouth guard was like $200. The mouth guard.
That's tough.
Shoes. I had some boxing shoes. So yeah, probably $2,500 worth of gear. Oh, and T-shirts, like I said.
They were passing out, and
so yeah, we were gonna give away a bunch of stuff, but I only got paid $900 for that fight.
That's funny. That's definitely. Are you going?
I was gonna say, what a debut to turn pro.
Literally, I shouldn't have taken that fight.
But yeah, it's definitely a ridiculous burn moment. I would never expect
that's
that.
like
fight day.
That's like going to a golf tournament because golf clubs are
expensive.
My gosh, like $3,500 for like the best of the best, and that's like going to a tournament and stolen. Then you have to go use the rental club.
Then you're using like other people's stuff, and it's like not the same. Doesn't feel the same.
I had to borrow one of the other fighters' amateur cups for my fight.
Oh.
So that's not
clean.
That's not pleasant. That's something you want to do. But there's nothing else I could do. There's no other store. It's not like you can just go and buy, this kind of equipment. So we had to borrow stuff.
That's literally a burn moment.
That's definitely a ridiculous burn moment, but we're going to move into N now to complete burn. N's it's kind of like two parts. It's like now and next. So are there any burn moments that you're going through now? You recently retired, super into cars, and you got your Garcia promotions. So is there any burn moments that you're really trying to get through right now?
Well, I mean, we experience things, on a daily. I just recently retired, or officially announced it, this last year. But even my last fight was October of 2021. As soon as the last bell rang, I told Robert, my brother, hey, that's it. I'm never doing this again. All right, that's it. We're done. I didn't care for the decision. Like I said, I had already made up my mind. I was never going to do it again. And I kept telling people that I was done, but no one really paid attention, or no one really thought I was going to be serious about retiring till last year in the summer that they started really, throwing the news out. And I said, yeah, I'm done. Like, I'll confirm that. I've been telling you guys. I never made a big post about it. I never had an interview throwing it out there. I never did a video, on my social media. I didn't feel like I needed to do any of that. But I would tell people, I would share it. Yeah, I'm not fighting. I don't plan on fighting no more. Wow. So they finally ran some notes, some stories about it. And now everybody saw that, I'm retired. So everybody, the question, so what's next? What are you doing next? What do you want to do? What are you going to do? Well, I feel like I'm taking a big break from working. I dedicated 20 years of my life to the sport where I didn't have time for myself. I gave a lot of time to my fans, to the business, to promoters, to everybody else except for me and my family and the kids. In fact, I lost a lot of time because of boxing. Even though boxing gave me everything that I have right now, it took away a lot of time, a lot of special moments, a lot of special activities, from holidays, birthdays, anniversaries, whatever. It took a lot of time. I'm trying to kind of get that back. How? By spending time with the family, with the friends, creating memories. I wasn't even there when my daughter was born. On her actual birthday, I was out in a fight. I had to go fight in Texas. It was one of my first earlier fights, and that's the day that my daughter, was born. So those are special moments that I was not there. And some birthdays that I'm in training camp. I'm on diet. I'm on holidays. Things like that. So I'm like, I'm taking a big break. I want to make sure I can get, catching up with some of that lost time, because you'll never be able to get that back. But at least you can try to create some good memories, some good stories, some good moments to appreciate what we have. And so that's really what I've been doing. As far as business, yeah, we got the promotions. We have fun with that. We're not doing it for the business. I'm doing it to help the fighters get some fights and, get some exposure and whatever. Not really for the money. There's not a lot of money in the small shows. There's not a lot. If you break even, you're winning. That's really how it is with the smaller shows. But at least you might start building the brand and build the company. Eventually, maybe one day we can actually expand and do something much bigger. But for the moment, I'm just kind of relaxing, taking some time. I've gotten involved in other things. You mentioned the cars. I do like taking my cars to the track. Some of the cars that are, track ready, I'll take them out there, have some fun. I'll take some of my friends. I always want to bring a couple of friends so that they can experience, what it's like to be on a car like that and take it out the track and go 160 miles an hour, 170 miles an hour and turn, and just they'll never ever have that experience unless they ride with someone like myself, or else just watch it on TV. But you really can't do that.
I'm gonna have to try that one time. Though.
If you guys are down,
I'm so down.
I'm down. Are you a good driver though?
Come on, bro.
Doesn't even question.
Well,
but your Lambo's so sick. I have to say that.
Thanks.
Like that custom wrap you have it. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's like it's white and it fades the black.
Yeah.
It's so sick.
Yeah,
I think
so
I've seen
sick.
Yeah.
So Lambo's your car?
I'm a Lambo guy. Yeah. I've had two other ones. Right now I have the Lambo SV, the Aventador SV. I kept that one. I have a McLaren 650. I also have my Dodge Viper ACR. So it's a track ready Viper ACR. GTSR is the official name of it. Those are the three track cars that I have.
Okay.
I've been taking the McLaren more lately. It's funny, they all drive a little different. The McLaren is a rear wheel drive. The Lambo is all wheel drive. The Viper is rear wheel drive stick shift, so it drives. You gotta be really able to know what you're doing. But every car drives differently, and also depending on what track you're in. Smaller tracks, the McLaren does it. The McLaren will do better than every other car. But on a big track like Auto Club Speedway in Fontana,
that's right out here, right?
Yeah, I go out there and the Viper does best because all the aero that it has, it really grounds the car and it allows you to go faster over turns, and that one's pretty sick. That one's badass.
You should get into professional driving now.
I don't know if I think that's too late
NASCAR?
for me.
Would you do it? NASCAR or F1?
I think if I wanted to do any type of real racing like that, I'd go into road course, kind of like F1 road course over NASCAR, just because it's more fun for me to actually be able to turn, and it takes a lot to understand what racing is. Like, you got to be very focused. You got to know exactly what you're doing. You got to feel the car. You got to read the road. You got to read the car, right? And you also got to watch out for, other drivers. So there's a lot more that goes to it than just hitting the gas.
Yeah.
Some people think, you just hit the gas and let's go. No. There's a lot more.
It's an art.
Fortunately, I've had enough fun with it, but not enough to be considering, professional career or actual racing. I don't see myself doing that. Plus, it's also very expensive to do it on your own. That's why everybody has like teams with sponsors and everything, because it's expensive stuff.
I mean, I was watching the Daytona 500, and the guy who won had like all these sponsors on him and just in his little clothes. And it's
we might have to get a Burn Factory car.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Sweet.
That'd be cool.
We'd have to get Mikey to help us design it because he'll know all the right specs.
I can drive. I'll
You
drive.
can drive
Oh,
it?
yeah.
I'll drive for you.
He's the driver. What am I doing?
I'm not that good. Like maybe like level like professional. But in the groups that I go with, I'm actually in a pretty high group. The highest group of the class that we go with, and you get a lot of former drivers there, former professional drivers. And everybody's like top level. There's a few times that I've actually placed, the fastest time. Auto Club Speedway in Fontana. It's a 2.8 mile course, and my fastest lap time was 1 minute 44 seconds. And at that moment, that was the fastest for the class. So I've done some pretty. I'm not bad.
That's
Dang.
so sick.
You'll have fun.
All right, we'll have to go.
We'll have to take
go.
that up. But Mikey, you spelt burn in your life. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yes, thank you
We're
so
super
much.
blessed to have you to be sitting in that chair. But tell the audience where they can find you, Instagram, Garcia Promotions, everything.
So we got my social media and Instagram at Team Mikey Garcia. That's my social media, my Instagram. I don't do any other platforms, just Instagram. And I am the one I am active on it. I may not post as much on actual like hard posts, but I do go on the lives. I will go on the stories, and I have fun with it. I like to have fun. So like you mentioned, you saw me tasing the guys on it.
Yeah.
We have fun. So that's what I post. The daily life with me. On my life story or on the stories. Hard post I'll leave for other reasons. But yeah, man, that's my handle. Team Mikey Garcia for Instagram. We do have Garcia Promotions. That's another page. You can always follow that through me. But I mean, I like to have fun. I like to interact with my fans. I like to be accessible, and I think that's what people are drawn to the most. That I am accessible. I do reach out. I do say hi. We do shows like this. We do a panel. Last week I was doing another panel out there in LA. So I mean, we're accessible, down to earth. So anybody that has any questions, send a message. Here we go. Boom.
That's cool. People like to see that.
Yeah.
Team Mikey Garcia, go follow him. But Mikey, as a gift for coming on the podcast, you will get this Black Label Edition Burn Factory hoodie.
It. Thank you.
With the hat as a gift.
I got some gifts for you too.
Oh, okay.
I got some gifts for you guys. Watch.
Okay.
Come on over here, Chucho.
Should I be nervous?
Nah.
Is it gonna be a snake?
Nothing to be nervous about.
Is it gonna be a snake?
No,
I'm joking.
we just want to make sure you guys are also rocking some of the merch, some of the gear.
Ooh, okay.
Thank you, bro.
Yes, sir. And you only can get the black one if you're a guest on the show.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Only-
Special.
Only guests get those.
Only
All
guests.
right.
Ooh, okay.
So
So
you guys got
keep the
some hats,
camera.
some shirts.
Oh, thank you
and
so much.
Thank you.
You can get
Oh, this is
that
awesome.
glove
I'll
there
rock
too.
Rock
No,
the
rock
mic.
this.
You guys can rock those hats
Yes,
and
sir.
some of
Oh,
the
I gotta take
shirts.
The headphones off.
How's it look?
Looks good.
Looks good?
Good.
Ooh.
Fits good.
And you guys
I
can
like
you guys
it.
can have some of the shirts also, and the glove. We got a signed glove there that I
Oh,
autographed glove.
thank you so
you so
much.
much.
You guys can display that or.
For
Yeah,
sure.
for sure.
Thank you
sure.
guys, appreciate it, man.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank
That
you,
will-
Mikey.
Yeah, thank you, Mikey. And that will do it for another episode of the Burn Factory podcast. Like always, please visit my foundation at priestjamesfoundation.org. Again, priestjamesfoundation.org to understand why this is called the Burn Factory.
See you guys for the next episode.